Hello, 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 everyone. This is Stevie Aisha Mills, and we are back for another conversation. The conversation with Stevie is where we discover the why behind what people do, and I am excited to welcome today Laura Gentile. She is now dedicating her adult life for change and to be a voice of hope to those who are looking to create a personal transformation. She is a certified life coach and fitness trainer, and her own personal journey has inspired her to create a life of empowerment for all women. She helps to lead others in their personal destiny so that they will not only discover their personal dream, but fulfill that dream. She encourages others to take the first step and see the importance of that first step. And we're going to uncover the rest of your bio here in the conversation, but welcome, Laura. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's a true pleasure and joy, and I can't wait to take part in this experience today and help anybody that's listening to your show and encourage them just to take that one small step.
Awesome, awesome. And I want to start there with the first step, because I think that's very profound that you are saying that in your bio and you're drawn to that first step, because a lot of people, we try to see the whole picture, right? We kind of don't start with the first step, even though that's the most logical place to start and that's the important place. But we feel like that first step is too minuscule sometimes. So let's talk about that first step and see how you have just really taken a hold of this concept.
Well, I appreciate that. And the power behind the first step is if you and all of your listeners can just imagine your child or your niece or your nephew or your grandbaby learning to take their first step. The value of that encouragement that somebody sees in that child, that you're encouraging them to come on, go ahead, you have your hands out, you're cheering them on, mom and dad's very excited, they don't want to miss that very first step. And I think as we grow up, we forget that everything about us started with that first step. We had to crawl, and we kept getting up and down because we fell a few times before we could take that first step. But that monumental first step allowed us to enter into a new adventure called walking as a child. And so as an adult, if we can remember the excitement that was there, either seeing that first step by your own child or somebody else's child, that true joy that we had when we got to experience that for someone else taking their first step. That's why I always refer back to that, because that is the true beginning that will take place. You might have to fall down a few times, but as long as you keep getting yourself back up, taking that first step, and it might take many steps to take that first one, but if you believe that you can do it by having people around you that encourage you, that will cheer you on, that will clap, that is the key to making that first step the viable piece of achieving your long-range goal. And that's why I find it so important. And I even wrote that in one of my little blog books called 7. I had the awesome experience to see this little boy take his first step. And it just kept reminding me, because he kept falling down, but he was determined to get back up and to take that first step. And I'm like, that's where we all need to go back to. We need to have that experience, Stevie, and go, yes, we want to continue on the path of walking and moving forward. But if we can recall that moment and just pause a second and not always have to see the bigger picture, but just see that very delicate determination in taking that first step.
Wow. It's almost like don't despise small beginnings, right? I think a lot of times, especially in social media, when we see so much of the finished product, We don't see the behind the scenes, right? We see the
Correct.
finished product, and
Beautiful analogy.
a lot of times we miss that whole thing. I know you have some that struck something with you. What do you think about that?
Well, I think, we don't see the person prior to putting their makeup on or their hair done or all the words that it took to create the statement or the article. It had to come with a thought, and the thought had to come with an idea, and the idea had to come with just a happening presentation where all these different pieces and parts and people had to come together to even create that very first piece, that very first look. If you think of any great author, their first piece was probably that mind-blowing, awesome experience. Might not have been their best work, but it was their first piece. And just like you were saying on social media, we see the finished product. We don't see all the behind scenes. And that's anytime somebody's trying to lose weight or get fit or increase their energy levels or change up the way they think about themselves or get into a spiritual practice to become a whole healthy person, they only see like the end or not even the middle piece. They just go, I know that I want to lose those 5 pounds or 10 pounds. I want to be more meditational in my practice, whatever that end result is. But there's all things leading up to something or somebody having to actually take that first step to create that great product. And that's what I want all of the listeners, and especially our women listeners, to remember, to get yourself going in the direction that you want to go, that first step is the key piece of creating your true foundation.
How do people just really understand that the first step is great, right? The first step is great, but guess what? A lot of people get stuck in what I call analysis paralysis. Mm-hmm. So how can they move forward from the first step? Because a lot of folks, especially people who've never done something before, they will get stuck in that first step, and that's not what you're saying. But how can we help people who are like, okay, I made my first step, and that's it? How can we move them?
Well, to transition from the first step into the remaining steps is you have to have a good blueprint. Every great house has a blueprint. So you have to have your key players in place. You have to have a wonderful, approachable personal trainer, life coach, health coach. You have to have a fan base that will cheer you on to be a part of your blueprint plan. You have to know what your obstacles and barriers will look like. You might not know what they are, but you should know what they look like. And when they come about, you have to have things in place for when they do. Like, I don't feel like going today. I don't feel like doing my 15 minutes of exercise. So there has to be things in place, and that's why I like to create somebody a blueprint plan, because in order to have a finished product, you have to have a plan of each level, of each floor, of each room. So that's how I can see somebody being very successful, is this: if they create that diagram, but the end result is, a finished body, that the way they're trying to achieve it, but they take one of those pieces and concentrate on doing just one, a great next step. You took the first one, okay, I have my blueprint plan. I know what my next 10 things are going to be to achieve that one result. And it's patience and time, and you have to be willing to do the work every day to achieve that.
I love it because you mentioned accountability, and that is truly one of the greatest things that you need an accountability partner. You need somebody who's going to hold you to what you say.
Yes.
And we know that you've created a small business to help others, especially women, really reignite and regain their life's purpose, and that you are certified and have credentials in life coaching and personal training. And so we know that you are very much the expert in these areas. And not only do you have expertise from life, but you also have your credentialing. Why was it so important for you to get credentials in these various areas?
Well, it shows people that I was willing to take the first step and create a blueprint plan for myself and to have a small business. And so the credentials help somebody else see, oh, she had to do something. She had to do the work to achieve what it was that she wanted to do. So to become something greater than where I currently was standing, I knew that I had to go and take lots of hours of training and class to become that certified personal trainer and life coach. I knew that I had years of going to workshops and conferences and seminars. It was very many first steps to learn many things to help myself and others to create a life that they want to lead. And so those credentials solidify what I believe in, that I believe in the process of having this group coaching or this one-on-one personal coaching. I believe that it really works, and so that is why the credentialing was so high upon my list, to show authenticity and that somebody could see, hey, she had to do the work. She did her due diligence. And I honor others by having those credentials so they can say, you know, Laura knows what she's talking about.
And let's talk about this, too, because the credentials weren't free.
No, they were not. I just got... And every year you have to pay your renewal fees. You have to go to get more training. You have to make sure that your business license is current and your, you know, LLC, whatever that. You have to make sure all those are paid yearly. You're right. It's not free. But doing that, once again, solidified that I truly believe in the finished product, and that's a healthy, happy body, somebody who is whole, mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Go ahead. And that's why what?
And that's why I continue to renew those fees and go to those seminars year after year. That's why. Because I believe that it's necessary.
Mhm. Yep, and that's, you definitely, people, listeners, you definitely want to have somebody who believes in themselves as much and believes in you as their client that much that they invest. A lot of times people try to take shortcuts and freebie this and freebie that, and yeah, that's well and great, but unless you're going to piece together all those freebies, you're not going to get the true gist of what's happening. And so, yeah, right. I wanted to put that out because of the fact that so many people, they just don't know that it costs to be the boss.
It costs. So, it does. And, you know, free is free. You know, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who and free you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Credentials are essential in personal training, for sure, and in life coaching. They're essential. And they're not free.
Mhm.
The people that work at a gym, you know, or in their own business, they have to have these credentials because our job is safety first, fun second.
Mhm. Yep, and I think that's profound that, you know, anybody who invests in any type of anything for their business definitely is taking it seriously.
That is correct.
Taking it really, really seriously. And I love the fact that you do have credentials and that you do believe, like you said, that you went to these other places as far as getting the conferences and getting the information so that, you know, that you've done the work, basically. You've done the work and you've paid the price to get where you are in life and business, and that's so important to say, and that's why I really wanted to take some time so that we can talk about that, because of the fact that it just shows the importance of this in your business.
And I appreciate you bringing that to your listeners' attention, and anybody who is wanting to go and get a healthier, happier, you know, mind, body, and soul. Those credentials are a key element to finding the right person and making sure that those credentials meet the standards that match with what they're trying to achieve. That is for sure. And I did do the work, and I've put in many hours of doing the work, but and then I wanted it for somebody else, and that's why I continue to do the work and continue to take those seminars and classes and workshops. That's why I do that, because I think we all deserve to be a healthy, happy person every day.
Yes, we do. We do. And I love the fact that you said we deserve. We do deserve it, and it's our birthright. And really a lot of times people don't think they deserve it, and that's a whole other mental shift that needs to happen.
Yes.
And so as we talk about these and talk about being happy and healthy, I know that you've co-authored a book called The Healthy, Happy 7-Day Meal Plan. Can you tell us about that one?
I would love to tell you about this book. A friend of mine, Sarah Garrell, and I decided 7 is a very powerful number. There are 7 days in the week, 7 colors or systems. So 7 to me was just a great starting point. This book breaks down how simplistic a meal plan can be. We actually even put in foods that are on the feel-good list. We believe that there is the possibilities of creating a simplistic meal plan, and that's what this book describes, and it shares that. We've given a few little recipe ideas, and it is just the starting position. It is taking the first step, those first 7 days of making a simplistic change, and we laid it all out for somebody to easily do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love the fact that you keep it simple. You know, a lot of times people try to inundate people with information, but simplicity definitely is. And I also want to talk about Patty's Patchwork.
Yes. Well, one of my favorite things, and sorry, I get a little choked up with this one because my mom's name is Patty, and I lived, and she still does, in a little town in Pennsylvania, and we called it a patch. So that's where the name Patty's Patchwork came. She, like I, loves to write poems and stories, and just when you have that sense of empowerment to write things down, she had given me her journals. So we created this book this year, and I'm very excited about it. It just talks about how she also wants somebody to have a fresh opportunity to begin a journey of creating a healthy, happy life. And she was very excited to see her poems and her stories in this book. And it's very simplistic as well. There are just personal stories in there to her children and to her grandchildren, and it was just filled with passion, and, it's bits and pieces of her life, and I'm just very excited about this book. Very excited.
Awesome. I love that. That's a beautiful thing. That's very beautiful and very touching. And I want to also talk about the book 7.
Yes.
What is that?
Well, I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and they had a book course there. And so our assignment was to create a book. And I, have very many ideas and some still in the works. But I always felt, just like you had said, there's so much to read, and time, and people are trying to manage their time and to add something else into it. I was like, I just want to make this book as simple as possible. And once again, I believe that the number 7 is a very powerful number. So it just came to me to have this 7 days of Motivational Monday, while it's Wednesday, Tune-Up Tuesday, just different days to do different types of things to help a person just feel good by reading these simplistic blog books. Easy reads, under 23 pages, just to inspire somebody to take and make that first step. And that's what these 7 blog books are about, with the number 7 in it. I'm very excited about that first book, and it is leading into the next 2 that are coming. But that was my first book, and I even put in there's going to be mistakes. But I was okay with those mistakes because it was my first step in creating the book.
Awesome. And so as we begin to wind up, I always ask people this one question, and that is, what would you say, if anything, we left out of the conversation today? And you're like, Stevie, we got to tell them this before we go.
Never give in and never give up. That's what I would want somebody to say. That's what I would want somebody to know. To live right, to do right, to be right. And know that there are people that will continue to inspire them, continue to help them. And if they're ready to take that first step, Stevie, send me a shout, give me a call, read one of my blog books, get in touch with you. But know that they do have a cheerleader, that they do have a fan, that they do have somebody that will be their accountability partner. That's what I would want whoever's listening to know. And that's what I would want you to make sure that you shared with your followers, is that. As tough as it might be, that's not really the truth. It is that for now, but that's not your truth. Know your worth and be brave.
That's so profound. It's funny because that touched my heart, because a lot of times people don't have somebody to just say, you could do it. And just those simple words. And it's amazing because I've been blessed to have a lot of that in my life, a lot of encouragement, a lot of just, people cheering me on. That it's sad to me when people do not have that. And I try to be that for other people, definitely. And I think that it just is something when somebody does not have somebody to say you can do it. And self-motivation is one thing and all that, and that's great. But sometimes it's like you got to have an outside voice saying you can indeed do it. You can indeed continue on. Even those simple words, I believe in you, those words are so powerful because people don't have that a lot of times, especially as we grow up and become adults, and, some of these teachers in the schools don't say that enough. It has to be a balance, I think, because they have some challenges of their own, but I think encouragement, I could definitely still relate to that, because my first grade teacher, who was also my third grade teacher, she is still in my life, Ms. Barlow, and as a woman, an adult who's gone through grad school and life and all these things, she still is there. And I can definitely pinpoint her as somebody who's been encouraging me to just continue. And I think that's important, what you said, because a lot of times people just do not have that. And so we want to thank you for being here. But before you go, we want to make sure that we have your contact information so people can support you and connect to you.
Okay. My email address is whole, W-H-O-L-E, body coach @gmail.com. And anybody can reach me on Facebook at Laura Ross Gentile, Whole Body Coach. And I would love to connect with somebody on Facebook. And like I said, email, absolutely. You can go to Amazon and see my books. You can go to Barnes & Noble. They are there as well. And, taking that first step, all they have to do is just send me a shout and just let me know, because I will be willing to become their partner to make sure that they achieve what they're trying to achieve, to have that healthier, happier life, for sure. I'd love to hear from them.
Awesome. So everybody, you have definitely heard from Laura today. She has been absolutely phenomenal, and just reminding us to take that first step. It doesn't have to be it's funny because this conversation today reminds me of a Mary Kay quote. Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, has always said, when she was alive, the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And to me, that's where my mind is going with this, because a lot of times we see giant elephants. We see giant elephants of life and business, and we get overwhelmed. But guess what? That one step, like Laura has talked to us about, that one just notch to go further, that she's willing to go on the journey with you. And I think that, Laura, is remarkable, because so many people are not able to work with beginners and newbies. And so I think that is dynamic, and I definitely will keep my eyes and ears open for people who need a newbie person, because to me, that's what the first step is about, being new to something, trying it for the first time, understanding that. And I was just talking to my coach last night about that, and we were talking about how some people are drawn and connected to that first step and to that being new. And I was like, I'm not that person, but I love to always connect people with people to do that. And I will definitely keep my ears open, because that is indeed what I call your it factor, and that's a beautiful thing, because we need people to kind of bridge us from, where we are to where we want to be, and that first step is a pivotal one. So definitely thank you for that work. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. And everybody who is looking to make a first step in the process, you guys definitely connect with Laura. She has given us her contact information, and she has opened the invitation to invite you into her space so that she can guide you through the first step. And it was beautiful that she said partner with you, because she wants to do it with you. A lot of times coaches and leaders, we kind of tend to lead from a space that is not in that partnership realm, and you guys can hire her to be that accountability for you. So I think it's awesome. I think that you definitely need to call her up, email her up, Facebook her up, so that you can get started, because the worst thing that you could do in life is not to make many mistakes, but to not even take the first step to make those mistakes. So we all fail forward. Again, my name is Stevie Aisha Mills. It has been a pleasure to be with you today, everybody. If you ever need me, just understand that you can find me by spelling my first name, Stevii. You can find me all over social media. You can find me at Stevie.com. And, of course, you can find me every Monday here at the Conversation with Stevie. We tend to play these shows on Mondays because we know that a lot of you are trying to make that first step into the entrepreneurial world, and statistically, a lot of heart attacks happen on Mondays. So we definitely want to give you something inspirational to guide you into your marvelous Monday. Again, please do not have a great day. We want you to make it a great day. Why? Because You, and yes, you too have the power to do so. Talk to you later. Bye.